I'm coming on now to show you the next attack. Today is the 6th of February, 2016. And my name is Neil Keenan, and I'm going to bring you the latest, really is the latest, in relation to the targeting of Malaysia. Malaysia is being targeted right now by the cabal. And on the 9th, on the 9th this month, there'll be an agreement signed between the banks, Malaysia, and someone else, which will basically destroy the Malaysian economy in a short period of time when the US dollar flattens out. But I'll tell you the story. You know, we know that Indonesia's under attack, or semi-attack right now, but there is an attack taking place in Southeast Asia as I sit here talking to you, and it's involving Malaysia. It's involving the Prime Minister, Najib Razak, who was actually a decent man. And there's money missing in an account somewhere, that some money that's been borrowed and some money given by the Petro-Saudi group, and there's all kinds of things happening which you've been reading about, and which all leads back to allegedly the Prime Minister and his group. There's a new AG in Malaysia who says no, there's no wrongdoing. But there's others who say yes, there is, because the money hasn't been given back, and it seems to me like there's two different parties that are fighting each other. One wants them to leave, and the other wants to stay. And you know, you really don't know what's going on at the moment, but that's really not the key. I think to the whole thing is the little bit of money. What was it? $61 million. I think it was $61 million. Do I have it on paper or something here? We can look at it again, but like I said, that's not really the key. 620 million, apparently. It went into his personal account, by the way, not to his corporate account, this Malaysian bank account, building account. It's went into his personal account. The money made 7 stops before it finally got to the bank, where they thought it should be in Singapore. Little did they know that the entire world was watching the moving of the funds, and it's unusual. The red flags went up, and they froze the 621 million, which caused another problem, because now the Prime Minister and his team didn't have the money to pay for the missing funds. So they had to find another way to get the funds to compensate for what's missing, which shouldn't have been missing at all, but it was. It still is. And this is about the Prime Minister of Malaysia, who's really caught in the middle of some real crap that's going on in his country, and between parties, people. Najib Razak, Prime Minister, everybody that's called me and spoken to me and giving me information says he's a good guy. He's a decent person. So I really don't want to go out of my way to malign him. And I really don't know all the story. But I know you can read the story for yourself and Google. And you'll see it up to a certain point. But it's after that certain point where things change. And you can't get that anywhere because it hasn't happened yet. And people don't know about it yet. I do. I know. I don't think many people know. I do. And now you will. I'll make sure you will. And I hope that Malaysia, and I hope the Prime Minister, and the Attorney General, and the people all listen. Because if we don't do this carefully, then Malaysia is going to just flatten right out in just a short period of time, and their economy is going to pop and bubble and go bye-bye. And somebody's going to make a few people are going to make fortunes at the grief of the Malaysian people. I like the Malaysian people. They're good people. Just like Indonesia, it's great people. They're warm, humble, kind. Not all of them's honest, but then again, they're not all of them honest. Not all of them are honest anywhere you go. So, let me tell you the story about the Prime Minister, Mr. Razak, Najib Razak. He apparently his party borrowed some money or took some money from another division, a part of the government itself, and used it for some reason or whatever it may be, and then they get the money back to repay the missing money from a Petronas Saudi Petronas or Petronas Saudi, and the money was sent $621 million to numerous banks. It made stops many places, and it finally stopped in Singapore. By the time we got to Singapore, after stopping at 8 places, all the red flags in the world had gone up. Everybody was waiting for the money. The CIA, Switzerland, everybody waiting to see what was going to happen, including the Malaysian government, the Attorney General's Office, investigative divisions, and so on. Well, as soon as it got to Singapore, it was frozen. Because the Singaporeans also wanted to know if the money was legitimate so that they could place it in their accounts. So that's where it lies today, the money, from what I understand. In the meantime, when they froze that money, that eliminated the possibility of placing the money back into that account where the money had been borrowed from, and it was missing. So he ended up between a rock and a hard place with the money being tied up in Singapore. That's not a good thing. Now you need that money again. And where do you get it? In a world of thieves, right? And they had to find it. So who comes out of nowhere? Out of nowhere. Bang Marcos. Ferdinand Marcos' son. Second son. The second oldest son. Not the first. Most people think that he's the first. The first son is Luis Reyes. I've spoken to Louis in the past. You know, when he was having trouble in the Philippines and he was worried about his life. He had to get out. And he lives in Canada, I believe now. So, Bang had an account in an offshore bank, a 14 trillion US dollar cash account. Trillion, 14. And he offered to exchange it to the Prime Minister, to the banks, for a 4.5 ringgit return. Ringgit's the money in Malaysia. 4.5 ringgits per dollar. That was the deal that's been worked out apparently. And it's a lot of ringgits, with 30% coming back to the government. So it sounds like a good deal, right? Sounds great. You get money, trillions of dollars. You've got the dollar is stronger than the ringgit. So the ringgit will go down, the dollar will go up. But that's not the case here, because the case here, and Mr. Marcos knows it, and I know it, and many others know it, that the dollar is going to die. And when the dollar dies, that's really going to be the end of Malaysia, because they'll be caught holding dollars, not their own currency. They'll go broke. The people there then will have many reasons to scream and shout, and there's no reason for it to get that far. Not at all. I mean, you're missing some money there, Mr. Razak. I keep calling you Razak. I know your first name is Najib Razak. You have to wait a little longer, I think, because if you make a move now, If you do, you're going to go to jail. Your attorney general might go to jail. Your banks may go to jail, some of your banks. What you don't understand is many people are watching you now. The money that went into that was used to bring in that money that went into the offshore bank, you have to wonder who that money belonged to, that was used. It wasn't Mr. Marcos's money. It was someone else's. I'm sure Mr. Marcos doesn't want a problem either. I mean, if I don't do this now and put this out here like this, then on Tuesday or Wednesday, you may be under arrest. The bankers, yourselves, and I think doing it like this, because I don't think any of you are trying to do something illegal. I think you're trying to do a deal, but in the end, you're talking about the destruction of Malaysia. Because when those dollars go kaput, which they're going to go kaput, then they're going to be left holding nothing. And the 30% we're talking about really is for personal benefit, personal gains, not for the government of Malaysia. So, I think you should forget about it and wait for another day, another time, when finally I sign those papers. You know, I'm going to be assisting Indonesia. Indonesia is first and foremost. And then there's others that are already talking to me about help through the accounts, many. But you know, I won't forget you. And I think that the East should be taken care of, as well as parts of the West. But the East deserves a big break, because they've been stolen from for so long. So, I think you should wait, because you're being watched. I mean, I can only tell you what I know. You've got satellites looking at you. You've got all kinds of things that are happening that you don't know from in both places, in the Philippines, as well as Malaysia, as well as the offshore banking, as well as the banks, and the bankers. So you're not in a good spot here, and I think this is the best information I could ever give you, is to tell you, back off, back off. It can't help you, it can only hurt you. They'll hurt the Malaysian people too. I don't want to see that happen either. Now, that's really all I can tell you is be extremely careful, walk very, very softly, very lightly. Don't make any mistakes and go back to your lives, normal lives. And don't think about what could be when it's going to backfire on you. And it's already being planned to backfire on you. Be careful. Now, don't worry, you're not the only place they've made plans for. They're setting up Indonesia. And you know, my nose is heavily involved there, and I won't let it happen to Indonesia. I got some fantastic friends in Indonesia, and I don't want them getting hurt. The government nor them. And I'll stick my nose in there to protect them. And that's what I'll do. In your case, I don't know you so well, but I do know by my visits to Kuala Lumpur that you got very nice people. Similar to Indonesia, very warm, kind, gentle, intelligent. It's nice. So I'm not going to say anything more than that, other than they're watching you. Okay? Back off. Now, if you want to reach me, there's ways you can reach me. But now I want to go. You know, I can't believe that this is happening before my eyes. And every time I watch television or look at the internet, I see that Obama is doing something stupid again. But everything he's doing it in such a way that we don't really have time to react, going from one to the next. I mean, it's pretty crazy what he's doing. Opening up the borders, telling the Border Patrol, don't hold them, let them go. Governor Brown over there in California telling everybody that they can vote. They don't have to be residents or citizens of the state of the United States or residents of the state of California. Just come on in and you can vote. And then there's other things too, the BLM taking the land from the people, and other things happening all along the way. The signing of the Pacific Trans Agreement, and which is never going to work anyway, because as soon as the new president comes in, that's going to be tossed out the window where it should be. And I hope they toss the President Obama with it, and all the presidents that signed it, because it's also again a big scam to take over territory, to take over countries, and to bring everybody together as one under the agenda for the New World Order. I understand that, okay? And that's what's happening in Malaysia too. And I got a feeling that if that's the case, which it could be, then we're probably looking at Bang Bang and a few others working with the West, which their father did. Ferdinand also was a member of the, let's just say, New World Order, okay? Let's just say that. He was one of their boys. And they made him president. Obama has really gone out of his way in the last couple of weeks to destroy the United States, to destroy it as we know it. He's become a lunatic or a raving maniac, and he's enjoying doing this. He's not an American, first of all, as you know, and he's doing everything he can do to destroy the American way of life. He's feeling good about it. And he's not American. He shouldn't have been our president to begin with. And it's time for our military to come in and actually move him forcibly. If they don't come in and move him forcibly, then our military, they'll probably be responsible for the deaths of their own families, their mothers, their fathers, their children, everybody else, because these people are trying to kill us. And they're not going to spare the families of the military unless they put them all in some FEMA camp somewhere and say, okay, you're safe here, because they're going to go in the streets and they're going to do this. They've allowed the refugees to come flying in from Mexico into California without being stopped. Okay, if they're stopped, they've been told to let them go. And Governor Brown is going to let them vote without being registered, without being a citizen, without being this, without being that, all because they're afraid of Donald Trump. Yes, they're afraid of Donald Trump. And this is creating a big mess, not only for Donald Trump, but for the people in the United States as well. But the only salvation for the people in the United States, because our military hasn't done anything yet. And you think they would have done something by now. And if I get things handled like I'm supposed to, believe me, you're going to have some protection. You're going to have some action. It's not going to be sitting back and watching. There'll be some things happening. It's not a one-way street. It's a two-way street. We live on a two-way street. And I'm sure as hell Obama's not on either side, because he's not American. Jeez. Oh, you got to wake up. We have to wake up. Our people have to wake up. We got so many kids. You know, I saw a chart the other day, how almost 300 million people we have in the United States, and how in the year 2025, they expect 46 million people in the United States. So in 9 years, they expect to kill 260 million people. And that's what they're doing with the chemtrails, what they're doing with the vaccines, what they're doing with the viruses, and what they're doing with everything else. You've got to fight back. You get senators who live around the corner from your homes, and you let them live there. You let them go shopping with you. You let them do things with you. Golf on your golf courses and everything's okay. It's not okay. I'm sorry I'm telling you like this, but it's not okay. I want to go home someday. I can't go home if you let this happen. And I'll be missing a lot of friends and a lot of family. So, I pray you do the right things. And Drake, I know you're doing all you can do. I know it. I've spoken to you. And we can pray that I can get what I need to get to finish up what I have to finish. And if I do, then we'll have our humanitarian packages, and we'll have things. So will Indonesia, so will Malaysia, so will many other countries. But we'll have things to we'll be able to fight back with them, so that they can't keep doing this to us and destroying us as they are. We'll have jobs. We'll have jobs. We'll have all kinds of projects going on all over the United States from all kinds of platforms. And it's going to be it's what we need. It's what we need. We don't need to sit down and do nothing. And we don't need to talk about it so much. We need to do something. It's time for action. If you don't, the cameras don't roll, nothing happens. You don't have a movie. Right now there's no movie other than them just outright slaughtering us, killing us, bringing us to the cattle house, and just, that's it. That's it. What are you going to do? What? I'm going to get my job done. I'm doing my best, and I usually always get my job done. Are you going to get your job done? And don't look at me and say, what's my job? You've got a job too. You all do. You all have a responsibility to your kids. You got a responsibility to your families, your parents, your grandparents, your friends, and everybody has a responsibility to each other to make sure that what they're trying to do doesn't happen. And not just in the United States, all over the planet. I don't know what to say right now because I'm not going to go into Indonesia right now. I thought it important to talk about Malaysia and what's happening there, because we could be looking at the destruction of Malaysia, the economic destruction. And that's what they're planning, I believe, and that's what's going to happen. And that's why the game has to be stopped now. And I know people are watching them, watching everything they do. And rather than have anybody go to jail or anybody get shot or anything else, it was better to put the cards on the table and tell them, don't do it. Don't do it. You know, I understand desperate people do desperate things, but you do not have to be desperate. Anyway, Mr. Prime Minister, getting back to you, you know, I wish you well, and I hope everything works out. And if I can help, when the account's open, I will be there to help you. I will help you. I will help your team. Mathir Mohammed is there. He was your supporter at one time. I think you should go see him. Bang Bang, I think what you need to do, because I've seen the accounts, and Louis Reyes' his name is on many of the accounts, not yours, not your sister's, but Louis Reyes, his name is. Your father put him on many accounts. Your father trusted him. He liked him very much. He loved him very much. I think maybe it's time for you to call him, talk to him, and find out how your stepbrother is, because he really didn't want much. I spoke to him a couple of times. He never really wanted anything at all. Never. And that was years ago. So you can do the same, and maybe you can get some kind of relationship going where you don't have to tell people you're Chinese royal blood when you're not. I think that's a story that the Vatican hooked up with your dad and a few others. You don't know you're not on the accounts, I believe. You know, it's Louis Reyes on the accounts that I saw. So, I mean, you can't use them. Anyway, look, I'm going to fall asleep here, you can tell. I was up until 5 in the morning working. I'm tired, I'm really tired. And, you know, and I'm just going to jump underneath this alpaca blanket here on the sofa in a few minutes and put my Irish little throw on top, and I think I'm just going to conk out for a couple of hours. So I'm beat, and I'm not going to quit, of course, and I'm going to keep moving, and we're going to win this thing. We're winning now, but Obama is picking it up, signing things and calling all kinds of shots all over the place right now, all at once, to distract us. Keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open. I wish you all well. God bless. And I'll talk to you shortly, okay? Let's see if we can stop this thing happening in Malaysia. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. Take care.